Hi students. Yesterday we took our vocabulary building. Now in the lesson we discussed the words and we had some kind of relation with our basic topic, which is the gender divide, and we are going to complete in our lesson, which is the reading lesson today. Now we have here, these are the words that we had and the exercise. Let's just go pass by the words quickly, and I'm going to give you something different this time. Let's have a short spelling exercise. So we have here, like this word. Guess what is the word? From the 8 words that we took yesterday, we have here, we have the word that has the V in it. We have convey. We have here convey. And the second one we have, yes, so the word that starts with an F, related to girls or women. We have here the word feminine. Now we said feminine, not feminine. So we have here, this is going to be the second. We have the third. Yes, we have 2 vowels here. Witness. And after that we have the word, it's the same word in each blank we have here. Intimate. We have here the word intimate. After that we have the word, yes, it's the same also. We have here, now we said a lot of creatures, fish, animals, birds, insects, they are all species. We have the word after that. Yes, now we have also vowels. The meaning, the message that I want to deliver, which is content. We have here, sorry, not to both vowels. We have here a vowel and a consonant. We have here content, and then we have the one after that, the opposite of feminine, which is masculine. And the last word is going to be, we have here literal. This is 2 vowels. So we have here, these are the words that we took yesterday in the vocabulary building. We are going to go pass by them again in the second part, which is the reading. We are going to mention, inshallah, the classification, the type. Does it concern people, a person, a thing, a place, or a thing, or an action? We have here related words, the ones close to it. They can be synonyms or antonyms and so on. So we are going to fill these information in the table within our reading lesson. So we have here the reading lesson. I told you that there is the question that, yesterday I gave you actually the question that I said that is related to the topic. Now the question is, in what ways do you think men and women communicate differently? So they communicate differently. How? How do you think, or in what ways do you think that they communicate differently? Now, if you haven't gotten the complete idea here, I have helping questions. So the first one, when men get together, what do you think they talk about? What are the topics that basically men are interested in? And also, we have here, when women get together, what do they talk about? Also, they have certain topics that they may be interested in more than others. Now, let's say, for example, sports. Sports is a topic that men discuss and talk about more than women. So yes, there are women that talk about sports, but it may be a little bit less than men talk about a certain sport. So this is just an example. It may be wrong, it may be, there is no actually correct answer here. So it just depends on your point of view. Okay, now here also we have this question. How do men and women react differently to a disagreement? Now, do you remember the part when we talked about reactions and how people react differently to situations or incidents that happen? Also, we have here, in these discussions and in the gender divide in general, there are different reactions from both men and women. So we are going to go on with our reading, which is on page number 88, and we have here 89. In our lesson, we have here, of course, the reading part. Our objectives are going to be list the differences in gender communication, scan for information and words, answer questions, enumerate the main ideas in the passage. So we have a lot to do that we are going to do in our lesson. We are going to apply a reading strategy this time. Now, our reading strategy is to pause and reflect. So we are going to read, and you can pause and just think about the basic idea that we have here. Do you agree with it? Do you have another thought about it? So this is a strategy that is used generally in reading. So we have here the reading strategy, pause and reflect here. When reading a long or scientific text, it is helpful to pause periodically and think about what you just read. So you can just stop when you have read the part, or you just pass by it. We are going to summarize the main ideas of what we just read. Comment on information and your own thoughts. So here there is a kind of discussion actually that you can have with your classmates, with friends. You can even have this discussion with family members. So here it is an enjoyable topic. It's something open that anyone can share. And of course, if you have questions, you can question anything that you don't understand. Also, we are going to see what is in our paragraphs. How many paragraphs do we have? And what is it in each paragraph, and what will each paragraph tell us exactly? We have the questions that you have on page number 89. Now these questions are after reading questions, but I'm going to apply them within the discussion so we can, so they can guide us to what is the basic idea. And of course, we are going to pass by our words that we have in the vocabulary building. Okay. Now, we are going to start. Of course, we have here the reading part is an article. It is about the differences in communication between genders. So let's start. We have paragraph number 1. Now, here we have the symbol for the vocabulary building. So just scan quickly and you'll find the word that we have here. Yes, very close from here, from the building. And you can see that we have here the word species. So just to pass by it very quickly here, we have species. Different species live in all parts of the world. So we said that humans are species, animals are species, insects, fish, birds. There are hundreds of types, or we can say that there are hundreds of species. So species here is a noun, and also it is related to humans, animals, and plants. And we can say that we can relate to the word creatures. So species, yes, they are creatures here. And of course, we can say that humans are a type of species, which makes it a noun. So we have here our first word in the table. Going back to our paragraph, let's just outline the topic sentence. Now, we learned in the units before that the topic sentence is going to be the first part in the paragraph. So you can see here the difference in the ways that men and women communicate. Now, this is going to be the topic thing, or the topic sentence that we have here. But before we discuss it, let's just see here the question that we have. Now, as we mentioned the word species, we have the question, are men and women different species? So before we start talking about them, are they different species or not? What do you think? Now, actually, when we say that the topic is the gender divide, which means that men and women are different genders, but they are not different species. They are one kind of species here. Now, if you want to name two different species, you can choose whatever you want. You can say, for example, cats and dogs, they are different types of species, or they are different species. Going back to our topic sentence here, the difference in the ways that men and women communicate. So here, the introduction paragraph is about the difference in how men and women communicate in general. So we have here, this is the basic idea. And if you see here in the middle, there is just a point that may be a fact here. Now we can see that we have here the difference between men and women in general. And we have here the other fact is that communication may be confusing and difficult. So sometimes each gender does not understand what the other gender is really focused on. So we have here, this can be something. So we have here yes, can occasionally make communication difficult and confusing. But basically, the introduction here, there is a main question that will answer the rest of the paragraphs. You can see at the end. We have here, what are these communication differences and what is their cause? So from the first or the top of the paragraph, we go back or to the end of the paragraph and see that we are going to discuss what are these communication differences and what are their causes. So basically, in the first part, we have the differences between men and women. This is going to be paragraph number 1. Now let's move on with the second paragraph. We have here 2 words for the vocabulary building. Now just scan quickly around the building. You can find the word, we have here the word, yes, intimate, and we have the other word, convey. Passing by them, now we have family relationships are special, they are intimate and strong. So the point of repeating the words again, yesterday we discussed the words, we put them in examples and we compared, or we did not compare, we used them in an idea, like for example, when we talked about cars. Here you can see that it is used in another kind or another meaning. So here there are several meanings that you can use and they all go back to the same idea. So yesterday I used the word intimate with car and now I'm using it with family. It can be also with friends. So we have here intimate is an adjective. I describe the relationship as intimate. And we have here, it is an adjective. It is of course related to humans. The synonyms, they can be friendly, close, and familiar. The other word that we have from the social media part, now social media conveys different ideas. Some can be useful, some are not. We have here the word convey. It is a verb. And yes, we said that we move from one place to another, or we have a message, we move it from or transfer it from us to another part. So here it is related to actions and things. And we can say also the synonyms are carry, or we have here transfer. Now going back to our paragraph, of course we have here our table. The topic sentence is, one basic reason men and women have such different ways of communicating is that they see the purpose of communication differently. So why? Why do people communicate? Women have different reasons than men. And actually, we have one of our questions in the book, which is, what do women see as the purpose of communication and what about men? Now you can just here focus on the middle, just take a look. Yes, from the start we have here, research shows that women use communication as a way of growing closer to people and establishing intimate relationships. But on the other hand, meanwhile, men tend to see the goal of communication as accomplishing a task. So our answer can be, women see communication as a way of establishing intimacy. And we have here, men use communication to accomplish a task. So we have here, they have different reasons. Women, they want to build relationships, they want to get closer to the ones around them, but men see that communicating is just to finish some certain tasks. Okay, after that, we have here, this is the second part, which is, or the second idea in paragraph number 2. Now, the purpose of communication. Moving to paragraph number 3, we can see that there is no vocabulary building, so we are going to move on directly to the topic sentence, also from the start. Although men do not tend to use communication to achieve closeness, they have their own way of bonding. So since men, they do not believe in communicating as something to, or it's the same idea as women have, but they do have their ways of bonding. So our question here is going to be, how are men most likely to bond with others? So if they do not communicate by talking, how do they communicate, or how do they bond with others? You can see the completion of the answer. We have here, they have their own way of bonding. In one study, 25% of men surveyed said that their most meaningful experiences with friends came not through talking, but through shared activities. So when they communicate, it doesn't happen through talking, but because they share their activities together. So this is going to be our answer for the question. Men often bond through shared activities. And the rest of the paragraph, you have here Javier Morales. Now here, this man, he describes his relationship with his father and how they communicated with each other, and they had a very strong bond by sharing different activities together. So this is going to be paragraph number 3, which is how men communicate. Moving on to actually a very short paragraph, paragraph number 4, but it does have 3 words, so you can find them very quickly. We have the first one is going to be content, and then we have here feminine, we have also masculine. So we have the first word, content. The content people receive from others may be important and effective. So the content here is a noun, and we agreed that it is something related to things. And of course we have here, it is the meaning. It can be something abstract, which is the meaning that I am giving or delivering to someone, or it can be the amount of substance, something that we can move and we can see and carry from one place to another. So this is the content. We have here, this is the first word. Then we have from the pictures, the second word is that new shop sells feminine products. Now feminine here is related to humans or things. We can describe a person or a thing that it is feminine or she is feminine. Of course, it is related to the word female or females. And we have here, we can describe, it is an adjective. Also, we have another adjective which is related to these objects, which are ties. Ties are a kind of masculine accessory. So we have here the ties here. They are also related to humans or things, but we have here they are related, or we can connect them to males, not females, and of course it is also an adjective. So we have our table here. We added 3 words together in our table. Going back to our paragraph, now from the start, the topic sentence is the content of what males and females talk about tends to be different. So the content, I am speaking this time about the content that we have and what the males and females differentiate in. You can see the answer. Now we have the question, how does the content of men and women's talk tend to differ? Okay, we have here a short paragraph, so we can find the answer easily. Feminine talk tends to focus on feelings, relationships, and people. So I describe the talk that it is feminine. And masculine talk tends to focus on sports, the economy, and facts, which is going to be our complete answer. So we have here the paragraph number 4, the fourth idea, the content of what males and females talk about. Moving on to paragraph number 5. Now, paragraph number 5 also, we do not have any vocabulary building, but I do have the answer of the question, which is the topic sentence at the same time. So you can see that we have here women talk to explore problems, but men do not. Instead, men talk to fix problems. So here the topic sentence is the answer. Now I want you to guess what is the question. If I am saying that we have here women talk to explore. Why? Why do they talk? To explore problems. And we have here men talk to solve problems. So I am asking for a reason, or I am asking for the purpose. So I can ask the question starting with why, or as I have here, with how. How do men and women approach problems differently? Now here, this is our answer. And we have here the rest of the paragraph is about Janet West and how she communicated with her brother, and she talks about an incident where a problem happened. She wanted to talk just to discuss the problem, and her brother wanted to talk to solve it. Moving on, we have here number 5 was about exploring problems. Moving on to the next paragraph. Now we have one word here. So you can see that it is in this part here. And actually, from these lines, starting, we have the word witnessed. So let's just revise quickly the word witnessed. And I remember that I told you that witnessed can be either a noun or a verb. So we witness changes in the world every day, which means that it can be something good, positive. It doesn't have to be related to accidents or crimes. We can say that I am a witness or we witness, which makes it either a noun or a verb. So we have here, it can be related to humans or actions that we witnessed. We can relate them also to observe or see. And of course, I mean by them the two classifications we have here, either a noun or a verb. Going back to the paragraph, of course, we have here our table. Now the paragraph that we have here, yes, now the topic sentence is, from the start, another way in which men and women differ is in the way they listen. So we talked about how they communicate, the differences in communication, how do they deal with problems, and now how do they listen. Here, the rest of the underlined part, research has showed that men tend to place all their attention on one thing at a time, but women do not. Instead, women commonly divide their attention between a number of things at once and make connections between these different things. So we can say that a lot of men, they just focus on one thing. They cannot focus on two things at the same time, meaning while listening. On the other hand, women, no, they can listen and they can focus on a lot of things at the same time, like our mothers when they do a lot of things and they can listen to all of us at the same time. And here, the rest of the paragraph, it is about a third figure, which is Sakura Kumi. Now here, she or he is talking about his mother and how she used to, you can see from here, so she got into the habit of standing in front of the TV and saying, Hiroshi, I'm about to ask you a question. Because the father cannot listen to several things at the same time, she has to tell him that I'm going to ask you a question, which was like a joke that they had in the house. Which means that we have here our paragraph is going to be, let's just go back, we have here, yes, the way they listen. Now, paragraph number 7, we have the last word of the vocabulary building, which is next to the building. We have here the word literal. We can say that the literal, like when we say that it is a small world, we do not mean actually that it is a small world, but we have here, it's a small world is not a literal phrase, which means that I do not mean it exactly. We have here literal is associated with things. Do I mean them or not exactly as they are? And I can say that the synonyms are original or the basic meaning. And I am describing, I think that it is literal or the meaning is literal. So we have here literal is an adjective. This way we completed our table for the vocabulary building. Moving on to our paragraph. The topic sentence research has shown that these communication differences can be partially explained by the different ways in which the male and female brains are structured. Here we have our last question, which is what causes men and women to communicate differently? So why? Why is there this kind of differences in listening or in how they deal with communication? How do they solve problems or talk about them? Because there is something in the body, it goes back to their brains. Our answer is going to be, when you see here, for example, the left side, so the answer, males and female brains are wired differently and men and women are raised to behave differently at the same time. Here, this is going to be our idea, and you can see that the rest there is an explanation of how the woman's brain and how a man's brain function. This is our 7th paragraph, how the brain is structured and wired. Moving on to our 8th paragraph, the topic sentence from the start is, research has also shown that the different ways that boys and girls are raised has a significant impact on how they communicate, how they are raised. There is a difference also psychologically by studying how the girls and boys are raised. We can see the rest here. Girls are raised to recognize and be sensitive to the feelings of others. On the other hand, boys are taught to be more direct and goal-oriented. This is going to be our 8th idea, which is raised or raising impact, leading to our last paragraph. Now the topic sentence here, or this is going to be actually the closing paragraph here and the conclusion. So we have here, while the differences in the way men and women communicate can sometimes cause confusion, we are always asking, why is there this difference between the two genders? These differences are also what help maintain a balance in communication. So there is actually a balance between them. We can find this balance in the rest. It ensures that a variety of topics and viewpoints are explored, feelings are expressed, and problems are discussed and solved. So these differences between the two genders are actually the reason that there is balance between the two genders, which leads us to our closing part and the last thing that we have here, which is the balance that we have here between the two genders. So you can see that we discussed all the 9 paragraphs here. We had the ideas in each paragraph and what each paragraph deals with. So we have here, these are our ideas. In the end, we explored the topic in general, which is the difference in communication between genders, males and females. We listed the reasons and what types of differences are there. We searched for answers and looked for the words, and of course we searched for the topic sentences in each part. And at the end, we evaluated, we gave the answers that we wanted, and we had the complete thought and why. Why is there these differences? So at the end, we have the balance that we do have between the two genders, and these differences actually are the positive part that give each gender its special type or the special way that it is. So this is going to be our reading lesson. Tomorrow, inshallah, is also an interesting topic, which is in the writing part here. Of course, we have a lot to do in the writing, so be ready.